Hello, ISD 7th graders. Today we are going to learn about explorers. The big idea that we'll be looking at is that European explorers made discoveries that brought knowledge, wealth, and influence to their countries. Some main ideas. You might want to jot these down on a piece of paper and take notes as we go throughout this video. Feel free to pause and work at your own pace as needed. Europeans had a desire and opportunity to explore. As we move throughout the Renaissance, people become more interested in cultures and the world around them. Portuguese and Spanish explorations led to discoveries of new trade routes, lands, and people. English and French explorers found land in North America. A new European worldview developed because of the discoveries. Main idea number 1. Europeans had a desire and opportunity to explore. An interest in discovery and exploration grew in Europe in the 1400s. Improvements in navigational tools, cartography, which is the making of maps, and shipbuilding allowed European sailors to go farther than ever before. Reasons to explore. People in Europe wanted goods from Asia. Italy and Egypt controlled the trade routes and charged high prices. Europeans wanted to find their own trade routes so they wouldn't have to pay the fees. Imagine if you had a Walmart that was close to your house. If Walmart charged a $20 tax on every single item you bought, you might go looking for another grocery store to buy from, like maybe a Target down the street or a Hy-Vee. It would be different from what you were used to, but you would do it so that you wouldn't have to pay as high of prices. Christians wanted to spread their ideas about religion to other parts of the world. Some explorers were simply curious about what lay on the other side of the ocean. Advances in technology. Sailors now had instruments such as the astrolabe and the compass to find new routes. Earlier, we talked about different types of technology that came out in the Renaissance. Technology makes it so that people can live easier lives. For example, since we are on hiatus for a little bit from school, technology is allowing us to still communicate and still learn. More accurate maps allowed sailors to travel from one port to the next using the open sea and not have to follow the coast. Shipbuilding, especially by the Portuguese, made new ships with better sails and better steering. Since the Portuguese had better sails and better steering, they could go further more safely. Main idea number 2. Portuguese and Spanish explorations led to discoveries of new trade routes, lands, and people. A man who never went on any sea voyages was responsible for most of Portugal's success on the seas. Known as Prince Henry the Navigator, he built an observatory and navigation school and paid people to sail on explorations. Why do you think that he would pay people to sail on explorations? Very similar to how we talked about patrons with Renaissance artists, wealthy people were willing to give money to those people who could go out and do great things, and everyone would credit them for their success. So, if an explorer that Prince Henry had given money to made some great discovery, he would kind of become famous as a result because he funded the expedition. Exploration. Even with new technology, travel on the open seas was still very dangerous. In spite of the dangers, Portuguese explorers sailed south looking for a water route to Asia. As they traveled south, they set up ports along the way. In 1488, Bartolomeu Dias sailed around the southern tip of Africa, but had to turn back due to the raging sea. In 1498, Vasco da Gama sailed around Africa and landed on the west coast of India. This established the sea route to Asia. A New World. One Italian sailor, Christopher Columbus, believed that he could reach Asia by sailing west across the Atlantic. The King and Queen of Spain gave Columbus the money to make his journey. In October 1492, Columbus sailed landed on a small island in the Bahamas. He believed that he had reached Asia. Ferdinand Magellan was the first explorer to sail around the tip of South America and go around the globe. The lands that were discovered on these explorations were known as the New World. Before these journeys, the continent of the Americas was not known to have existed to Europeans. I would add a general note that just because Europeans didn't know that they existed doesn't mean that they weren't credible and strong civilizations. Spanish explorers in the New World found gold and silver as they conquered the empires there, but passed along diseases to the native peoples that killed possibly more than 3/4 of them. Over the next couple of days, you will be looking at the impact that these explorers had on the New World. Thanks for watching.